1 minute. Wait.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. Welcome to another episode of the EMPI Insider with your host, Corey Ryder.
Hey guys, happy Cinco de Mayo. I had to have some fun with it. EMPI Insider show, and super excited about today's show and what we're doing. Getting everything kind of rolling off. Extremely excited. Something very new we've never done before, being the dealer spotlight series. And if you guys are listening in on Instagram or on our live Instagram stream, I highly encourage you to make the transition over to YouTube right now, or into the Facebook page. So we have a jam-packed show with a lot of stuff going on, and tough, but I've already checked. I'm already excited to see some of the comments coming through, and extremely excited to kind of get in with our guest. So we've got a great talk scheduled today with Chad Coker from Appletree. Talk about some of the new products that we're doing, and then really get a chance to showcase this. Now, this dealer spotlight series is something that we're really striving for, to kind of show and showcase dealers around the country and around the globe that are strong EMPI dealers that promoting the brand product and are really kind of pushing out stuff on there, and it gives them an opportunity and an outlet for them to showcase what they do and what they specialize in and whatnot. So it's something that we wanted to try, and extremely excited to work with Chad on this as kind of the first test run, a guinea pig, if you will. And it's been really well received, and extremely excited to see some of the comments that are already coming through for Chad and just for the hobby itself. So very, very cool. Thanks, Jeff, for sending that in. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and we'll bring Chad into the show here, and we'll add him into the stream and get going. Chad, welcome to the show. Bring my
hey guys,
over, please.
You hear me all right?
There we go. Let me bring in a little bit more sound here for us so we can get you dialed in here. And I'm going to kill my speaker so I can bring you in full. So bear with me 1 second while we adjust the final deal.
Yep.
And I think we should be hearing you. Okay, bring my earphones up one more time, please. Still having a hard time hearing everything. Everybody's down. We're getting thumbs up from everybody. So excellent. Well, Chad, thank you for volunteering and kind of trial by fire, man. It's cool to have you on and try something new and different that we haven't. So
yeah. So funny thing is, a couple weeks ago, I cut my hair. Can't go to the barber, so I thought I'm just going to cut my hair. Yeah, nobody's going to see it for a couple weeks. And then you called and hey, let's get you live on the show. So
yeah, let's make sure we get everybody here. And can you hear the sound real quick? I think we're having some sound issues here, Chad. So bear with us just one moment while we get this situated, and we'll be right back over here. So hold that thought, please, because it sounds. Bear with me 1 second while we work through it. Please stand by. Yeah, just try to clear this real quick. Give me a sound test from you.
Check, check, check.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're bringing you in, so we'll make do. So
You want me to try my mic?
It is what it is. You're hearing me just fine?
I can hear you.
Great. Well, cool. Look at the trophy room. So that's the case you've been showing off a little bit back there and some of those cool things. But man, first of all, thank you so much for willing to give this a try and be the first one kind of out of the gate. You've been a long EMPI supporter and very proud of Appletree and well, hopefully we can share with a lot of our listeners kind of the journey and some of the stuff that really kind of how it started and I think we'll just kind of take it from the top. Even how I guess you used to previously work at Appletree and do stuff like that. So share with us. Yeah, can you hear me all right then? I think we're just minimal at best, and we're gonna make do with what we got. Okay. So I worked for Appletree when I was in high school. Larry Wagner, that founded the company, was one of my neighbors down the road, and I was good friends with his daughters, and so started working there in about 95, worked my way through college, working summers there. After college, I got a physics degree and was going to be a teacher. And that was right about the time when our budget in Michigan was just falling through the floor, and decided to just stay on with Larry full time. And we really enjoyed it anyway. So the wife and I decided that, since we enjoy doing it, let's just go ahead and buy it. And Larry was at the point of really wanting to slow down in life. He had run two businesses simultaneously, doing land across the street from Appletree and Appletree. So we picked it up from him and been working on it ever since. Very cool. What year was that roughly around? Boy, I think it was about 2003 when we finally bought it from him. Oh, very cool. And up in Michigan and whatnot. So was it always, and for those of you who haven't kind of checked into it and stuff like that, I mean, they do a lot of fabrication work and the parts store and stuff like that. Was it always a fabrication shop, or is that something you kind of brought on afterwards? No, they, early on, Larry, they used to build frames for the old Appletree way back in the 80s. Had a real cool design. In fact, they used to bring in a bunch of Santoy chassis from out California, and they'd resell them here. And kind of spurred them to make their own chassis. And a lot of the design look of it kind of is a little similar to the Santoy. So they did that throughout the 80s. They had a great group of fabricators that were working on that. But it really kind of spiraled into, well, you got a frame now, they really need the parts. So that's when the parts business started really taking off. And it wasn't until, early 90s they got out of the frame business. And actually my father-in-law had purchased it from them. And, when I worked at Appletree for Larry Wagner, we actually bought chassis from my father-in-law. So kind of an interesting tie how that all worked together. But so I met my wife kind of through my ties at Appletree. So when we ended up buying Appletree, we ended up buying XTC Motorsports, and White Hill Frame and Fabrication is what it had turned into. So we ended up buying back all the original jigs and fixtures and the car designs and all the bodies. So we've got that in house now. It's a little slow to get started because we have been just swamped with part sales. So, and that's really our thing. So, but we'll get back on it. We'll get her going here soon. Oh, that's very cool. I mean, so we definitely got to give, before we get too deep into this, we definitely got to give your wife Amanda and daughter Chloe some attention and love and support. Obviously, as a small business owner and entrepreneur, that you are, and we know that the demands are high and that it can be trying at times. So the only way to be successful in a lot of this stuff is to have a great support team, and it sounds like you have that. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't do what we've done. I mean, in the early days of when we first purchased it, it wasn't uncommon to have 70, 80-hour work weeks. And in fact, when we purchased it, we had a 1-year-old son, Tyler, and Chloe was my wife was actually pregnant with my daughter. And then we had my youngest son, Aiden, a couple years later. But so we had 3 kids within a year or so apart, right in the beginning stages of buying this. So it was me. I got a lot of gray hair. You can't tell I got the coronavirus haircut going on, but it was a lot of effort on her part to maintain the household and help me out with work. And
Now she works with us, and she's helping, in fact, in the back right now, helping ship some boxes and stuff so we can stay caught up for the day.
That's awesome. I mean, it's a true family affair over there, is what it appears, and it's really cool to see. Just getting to know you since my time here at EMPI, and the common passions we share with drag racing outside of this and whatnot, and in motorsport. But to know what you have that you're building, and the vision that it shares amongst the family is pretty awesome, man. So congrats on that, big time.
Thank you.
So. After purchasing and whatnot, but the Appletree, and we'll share some of the earlier pictures of kind of the precursor to it, which is pretty cool. Some of these ones you shared with me, which was really awesome to see, and kind of how the old pictures used to be with the shop and whatnot, and then some of the stuff that. That you've really progressed into with like your son's cars and different things like that has just been really, really neat to see. As it's just the transition, the progression, right? I guess I'm kind of more in awe because I see like not only flat 4 VW stuff, but V-twin different things, and then the crazy sand drag stuff. So it's just, you'll have to kind of we'll get through some of that stuff, but just the scope of work, is there like a specific area or item that you kind of focus on right now? I see a lot of sand drag stuff, but is there other avenues?
For us, we do a lot of sand rail stuff, and obviously air-cooled VW. So that's kind of our main market. We do some fab work. Right now, I've been building cars for myself and for my kids, and we've been pretty limited on any extracurricular after that, just because of the time it's been taken to move these EMPI parts out of here. So we've been really focusing on that. My job day to day is, I help with the phones. I help some with the shipping if they get behind, but really it's crunching data, it's crunching numbers, it's researching the market. There's a lot of that boring computer stuff that goes on behind the scenes that I would much rather be on the phone or on Facebook answering some questions or something than running through spreadsheets. But hey, it is what it is.
And so it looks like too, just, was it always kind of a pathway for you to kind of own a shop, or were you always kind of a mechanical guy? Because I get, you do have some college degree background, right, and stuff like that. So it was kind of just, you already knew you wanted to have a shop growing up, or was it just a love and a passion that just turned into something more?
Well, growing up here, I started sand drag racing when I was 18. And that kind of morphed into me being at Appletree with the guys there, and obviously they race pretty hot and heavy. And honestly, going in, I had a desire to learn automotive. I liked working with my hands, welding, that kind of stuff. But it really took those guys at the shop there to teach me how to weld, how to bend and fit and do it properly. And I watched everybody building the motors, the VW motors over the years, so over there for the race team. So I mean, it just grew on me. And the more the teaching thing didn't look like it was going to pan out, the more you can ask Larry Wagner to this day. I bugged him probably at least 3 times a week to give me the keys to the place and let me run with it, because we could see, the internet was coming, online sales were coming. And honestly, Larry had built such a strong foundation for the business with the way that he treated people, over the years. And so he made it easy on us. So when we took over, we already had an great established name, good customer service. You get to kind of learn from him how to treat people, and that's important. So, we go into things as everybody's kind of family. So we help each other. Even I seen Joe Churko, he popped in. We talk. There's competition amongst your dealers, but we all get along. It's a fun time, and you get your families involved. And I've met a lot of actually my really close good friends through this business, through racing, through selling them parts over the years. You just establish kind of a rapport with them, and I've had customers over my house all the time, and it's just it's a great atmosphere. It's not like a lot of jobs where you go to work, you come home. This is a all day, every day thing that it just never stops.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're touching on a great point, Chad, because as the world evolves, right, and as the business avenues and pathways evolve, you know, the e-commerce guys that have really kind of embraced that early on have been very, very successful with the growth of their business and planning ahead for the future. And I would definitely say that with some of the stuff that you've done, you've set that forward. But I think really just embracing a lot of that stuff and staying ahead of the curve is something that you've done and has been, very, very successful. And then the other key point to that, I think that you made was in many cases that the other dealers and the other MP dealers and other guys in the industry, for the most part are very engaging and very, you know, cordial. And listen, everybody's wanting to make a living to feed their family and take care of things, sharing stuff that we're doing back and forth. It's been pretty good for the most part with amongst many, many people. So
Absolutely.
it's cool to see that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to give you some perspective, when we started, one of my first years running the business here, our mail order was about 50 boxes a day. And now we look back on that, and man, we say, we do that before 10 a.m. on most days. So typically we're 400 to 500 boxes a day throughout the week. And to look back and remember how hard we sweat to used to get 50 boxes out to how streamlined it is now, where it's a little more click, 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 and out the back door. It was an evolving program that was constantly changing, trying to stay up on times, different marketplaces, the websites. One of the things I think that we took a lot of this on in-house. We didn't farm a lot of it out, so it saved some money. It actually taught me a lot of stuff that I get in there, work on the website, programming wise and stuff, and without that instant ability to change things, sometimes you fall behind really quick. And so catalog everything we design in-house, do it here. We don't farm that stuff out to anybody. We just get it done and get it out. So it works pretty well. Though the internet is probably about 50% of our business, but we still have a huge mail order following where people are calling in. I've got great sales reps here that have been with me 15 plus years. They're great guys, and I owe all the success to those guys, because those guys are the guys on the phone that are keeping these people calling and keeping their stuff running for them. And I can never thank them enough. But it's one of those things. They do a great job, and you guys have always done a great job keeping us in the loop on everything and keeping parts coming. And
yeah, it's interesting to talk about the self-containment of your business in general, and that's another big part of, I think, when you're able to navigate and move and make split decisions or calculated maneuvers. You're able to do that, and your catalogs and the web website, and I encourage a lot of people to go and check out Appletree Auto and give them a good once over, and when you're looking for new stuff and whatnot, and look at the hard work, because this guy does work hours upon hours upon hours and makes himself available, and again, it's just what you're pouring yourself into your organization and your shop and what you're really doing, and it's really neat to see, and that kind of just conveys into just you as a person and kind of what you're doing and how you want to set yourself up for the future, which is great. And I mean, we talked about some previous little touching points for the show, and without the right leader to take it to the next level and to continue to flourish, your employees, I'm sure, are going to feel very, very happy and want to stay with you. That's the biggest thing. You're investing in them and what you're trying to do and to go forward. And how big is the team over there, if you want to share with us that?
We got about 7 people total, with including some fabrication. And that'd be my wife also. So we've got, it's honestly, it's not a big crew. So we really handle a lot of business for a small crew. We keep it lean. Parts come in and out. It's really efficient. There's days that I go home and I just shake my head and bang my head on the wall. But most of the days I go home and I can't wait to fall asleep and wake up, come back to work the next day. Because it is something, that when you love what you're doing, you don't mind coming into work. In fact, you kind of dwell on getting back to work and getting some things handled. But No, the crew here is great, and they're real efficient.
Yeah, it's like, especially to keep up with the demands of an e-commerce business like you do. I mean, the requirements are extremely high, so you don't get issues with negative feedback or have problems with, a multitude of issues that you can have, and keeping the percentage is low. It's very key, and to do that is again another a good feather for you. So with we touched briefly on racing, and that's kind of my favorite part of all this stuff, right? I mean, kind of tell us, were you always kind of a sand guy? Did you mess with the drag racing side of stuff?
Well,
tell us
yeah,
about that.
I had a sand drag Jeep back in fact, when I was in college, I really lived on ramen noodles and that macaroni and cheese, because I built a race Jeep, and it took every penny I had beyond my college tuition to afford that thing. And that was a lot of fun, and honestly, when I was at Michigan State taking engineering and physics, my goal was to go on an NHRA top fuel team. That was really my angle. I wanted to get on one. And in fact, I had feelers out there all over. And ironically, I did get a call from the Coletta group up here in Detroit. We're ready to go. And that same week, I found out my wife was pregnant with our first kid, Tyler. So,
wow.
Being a new dad and all that, I just felt like getting out on the road and being gone so many races a year wasn't going to be for me. So I stayed back, and it's a funny how things work out, because it worked out great. But now that I'm getting closer to them moving out of the house, then I can kind of angle back in. And that's why I talk to Corey Mack all the time. In fact, I kind of feel like I'm coming on after the Rolling Stones here, because, you have Corey Mack, then you put me, Chad from Appletree, but no, great group of guys over there. We've gone a lot of NHRAs. My kid loves drag racing, so he's there doing it with me. My youngest son's there doing it with me. So we've that's kind of a goal, to get on asphalt at some point. Sand is great. We have fun. Our track is within 5 minutes from us, so
that always makes things a lot nicer.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Man, it's really cool just to see, Chad. I mean, the comments that are coming through here that are popping up. I mean, it's got to speak volumes to you, and it's got to give you kind of some warm, fuzzy feelings, if you will, just that these guys are chiming in, that have been long time customers, from the old days to current days to where you're at today, and every one of them, is chiming in positively for you, and how great you are in the service, and you go above your way. I mean, that's got to speak, just to kind of touch you and give you that refilling of the cup, if you will, to what's going to be next, right? Yeah,
we pride ourselves on taking care of people. In fact, getting on Facebook and different groups and answering questions. And there's been times, people will get upset and they'll post something on Facebook, and I've got admins on these groups that'll message me, "Hey, Chad, you want me to take this stuff down?" No, leave it up there. I'm going to talk to the guy. We're going to talk it out, figure out what happened. We're going to fix it. Leave it up there. We don't need to take it down. If you had a bad experience, leave it up there. But people are going to need to know that we are fixing it.
See, I mean, and that's really, I mean, we've talked about this briefly before, but like one of the things that I'm involved in the same thing as you. We try to be involved in as many Facebook groups as we can. Forums are kind of dying down, if you will, in many areas. But to go in there and have a civil conversation with somebody to articulate your point of view or the issue or work through a problem is key. And I think that to just do it in a professional manner, to do it, in public, if there's a problem, so we'll do what we can to fix it. You guys, the dealers, and the dealers will support the end users, and that's how this is really supposed to play out when you do it on a professional level, right? And it's really cool to see that. And again, I think it's another awesome topic and of what makes Appletree, one of the best.
Yeah, and we don't have any issue. People will call us.
I know one of the things that. Go ahead.
People will call and we'll try to look up their account and see what part they got, because they're starting to question a part. Now they'll sometimes, oh, well, I didn't get it from you guys, but that's okay. Just people know it's okay to call us for tech support on other people's stuff that you bought from somebody else. It's okay. It happens to all of them. Somebody's probably called Turco on something that, we sold. So, I mean, it's okay. We all support each other. It's good. But, there's an enormous amount of technical support that has to go on behind the scenes with a lot of this stuff to keep people going and kind of walk them through. There's a lot of people that are new, they'll jump in and first thing they'll say is, hey, I'm new to this. And, you got to start at square one. They don't even know what a kingpin versus a ball joint beam is. Yeah. So you're really getting down to that beginner level and getting them going.
I mean, it's just one of those things that's we need to do it. We try to make ourselves available, but I think those that are taking care and attending to the customer's needs, that's kind of the way the customer's always, what drives us, right? But it's the approach and how we handle that and the willingness to go that extra mile. So very, very cool. I mean, well, we talked briefly about the racing history and whatnot and how much you love. You ever get a hankering to just go out and make a couple of test hits or try to get the license just to kind of put a cap of getting your fuel license or something, or even maybe pro stock?
It's funny you ask. I've actually, a good friend of mine, Steve Johnson, is a pro stock bike racer. We've talked to them about getting my oldest son, on a bike, because he's going to be turning 18 soon, and he's about 150 pounds dripping wet, and he'd be a great pro stock bike rider. So that wasn't one of the directions we're going, but ironically, it probably was about 2 weeks ago that I was hitting up Cameron about some diecast cards to fill my rack back here, and I was picking at him, like, hey man, how do I get my license? Who does it? Who am I going to have to go see? That I know it's going to cost big money to get in there, but let's get her done.
All it takes is money, man. Trust me. If you say, hey, like, I want to get a rate, you put a Facebook post. My name's Chad. Have cash, want a license and fuel card. Don't worry, they'll come to you because those things run on dollars. They don't run anything else.
That's what I'm understanding. So that's what we're working on.
That'd be cool, man. I mean, how was the wife feel about you kind of jumping into that stuff? I mean, that's a whole nother avenue than a sand car.
We joke because her budget for her horse showing routine is keep step in step with my race car routine. So don't let her fool you. She gets all of what she gets and doesn't have much to complain about. So they, the daughter and her show horses, and they compete nationally and hunt seat, saddle seat, and it's an expensive hobby. If you think drag racing is bad, leave your car running for 365 days. That's what it's like.
And it's just eating.
Constantly running.
So with the sand, are you guys currently very active in the sand? I mean, I'll tell you, I think I have a little, and I'll try this again and see if it works out for me. But like the overlay, but like, there was a picture. Oh, there we go. It worked this time.
Yep.
But I think that's that crazy front motored Harley powered altered thing that you guys were doing with your son. And I thought that was pretty crazy looking for those, and then, you had your regular sand drag car, but stuff like that. I mean, where are we at right now? Some of those projects people are asking me and sending other questions. So share with us.
Well, Aiden needed a new car. He'd been racing at the RZR for a while. Tyler, my son, had a dragster, and Aiden, he doesn't want to be the cookie cutter dragster guy. He wants something unique. So, all right, well, we'll do a front engine Fiat funny car with a Harley motor in it. And it was a cool build, a really cool car to put together. And, he dug it. It's really loud. But my car, I've got a couple cars, but the Appletree car that you just showed there, that took me a long time to build. That's all hand rolled, chrome moly. That's got about a 1200 horse. It's called a Mopar A4. It's a 4-cylinder. It's not a production motor. It was made for midgets and sprints. We had it built for drag racing. It's got a turbo. It's alcohol injected. And honestly, I blowed it up a couple times because I push it pretty hard. So we run my goal with that car. I built it for the Mount Baldy hill climb here in Silver Lake, and that's kind of an Appletree tradition. We always go after that. Larry and his daughter have won that numerous times. I've won it once, but it's been Tyler was 1 year old the last time that I won the hill climb, and I had him on my shoulders, you know, a little baby. But so we build that car for that, and that's where we're going for it. But yeah, we do a snow race too up a ski hill here in Michigan, right about April timeframe when the snow starts melting, and that's a lot of fun. And they get 4,000 or 5,000 people out there watching, and that's a sketchy one. But that motor's popped a couple times on me, and you just can't find those pieces laying around. So there's 6-8 weeks downtime every time you break something on it. And it costs me it's a new horse every time I break one. So
I guess we won't talk dollars and cents on air with them and stuff like that. So that way the wife will keep that and keep Amanda happy, right? Just, but any aspirations for you know, your kids kind of getting more into the drag racing aspect as far as asphalt goes and whatnot, like maybe into a comp car or, you know, or something like that, and, you know, VW power and base, and so that way you kind of stay purist to where we're going with it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I see my oldest son is definitely wanting to get on asphalt. He continually asks me if we can put his dragster on asphalt, but they just don't have a class for him. It's a bike-powered dragster. Right now, with being a junior class, they only allow single-cylinder Briggs-type motors, and so we've stuck with sand. And you know, he's a smart dude, so he's going to be going to college here in a year. And you know, he loves robotics. He's just into that head over shoulders. So he's gonna be busy here in the next few years. So my time with him is becoming limited here pretty quick.
Never a dull moment for you, man, as it seems. Gosh, there's so many more things to go over. You know, and everybody talks about the famous Appletree catalog that is you know, in depth and to overtake, you know, that's a hell of an overtaking for yourself to accomplish, and you're still doing that inside of. How long do you really lock yourself in to prepare for that?
Oh, it's like the biggest book report you've ever written in your life. It's, you know, it's a super expensive thing to print out, so you got to make it right. And I bet you I have 3 to 4 months generally into that, getting it laid out. You know, it's funny, we'll ask customers to send us pictures to put into our catalog, and we'll get hundreds and hundreds of pictures of people. We try to fit as many in there as we can. So there's always a bunch of customers scattered in there, and but it's a great tool for people. People like to have it in their hands.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because, you know, I mean, you're well aware we still print, you know, 25,000 plus catalogs every year. And it's like one of those tangible goods that, you know, it was a great test. You know, it seemed on a PRI, like, hey, would you like a catalog? Would you like the digital version on a thumb drive so you don't have to carry it around and get one arm longer than the other by the end of the trip? Or would you like to have a, you know, the paperback? And we're like, oh, give us the paperbacks. It's like, we hate loading those things for the show sometimes. They get to be so much, but it is what it is. And we want to keep our customers happy.
Yeah, this is, in fact, this is a 1992 Appletree catalog. This was actually a gift for my 40th birthday. This is what Larry Wagner gave me. Still got the price guide. It was a mint, never had a bend on the binder. It's amazing some of the parts that are in here that we're still selling today.
Wow.
Yeah, and honestly, even the prices are not that far off, surprisingly. So you'd be shocked. I'm going to PDF that at some point and put it online so people can browse through the old books and look at some of the stuff that used to be there.
That's so cool. That is so cool. Yeah, look at, we got people chiming in, love paper catalogs, you know, and it's like we hear you, man, and so much better. Yeah, that we that's why we still do it. I mean, the time that it takes for us, I mean, literally was a topic discussion, you know, in-house here every Tuesday. My marketing team group and I, we all meet, we go through everything, kind of what's due for the month, what we've got to print and do. And the topic of discussion of today was definitely on there, was the catalog. And we're to try to prepare for that. We're talking to get this thing done, launched by January 1, and it's, you know, May 5th. So it's a laundry list of items that go into that. So, man, I don't know how you do it sometimes. It's definitely difficult, and props to you, and we'll definitely share a cocktail for that one down the line.
Absolutely.
But, well, man, it's been awesome to kind of go through some of this stuff. So let's talk a little bit about and I don't want to go too long with you, and I don't want to keep you too much, but the fabrication side of the stuff. Let's get into kind of the intricate workings, and we'll spend the next little bit talking about it and sharing with the customer, with the listeners. What are some of the items you do? We see a lot of fabrication stuff. We see a lot of the really bitchin' chassis and the cars you guys are coming out with, and obviously the creations you're able to build, like your son's car. But tell us and kind of walk us through some of maybe the equipment you guys have and what makes you guys different.
Well, initially we started out with the benders and stuff that we've had for 30 plus years. So once we bought my father-in-law's business from him, we ended up buying all CNC tubing type benders, CNC press brakes, plasma tables. So we really upped the fabrication side. So we're really well equipped. The honest to God truth is, up here where we're at, it's not a big town. Finding people that are able to do this is probably my biggest holdback. And there's been times where I've spent the day back there welding our suspension arms or doing what has to be done to get orders out. But, that's not efficient on my time. I really need somebody doing that. But trade skills up here is a struggle, man. And we train anybody that'll stop in and want to swing a welder. But, our standards are so high that we've had people that, I can weld, let me do it. And we'll try them out, and it ain't there. So we just can't go with it. But so we've got
dropping dimes, not slag.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, you can weld two pieces of metal together, but it's got to hold and it's got to look nice, and you got to fit a gap nice. And so, everything we've got back there is upped our production tenfold. So we've got some suspension lines that we've done for years, our trailing arms, custom torsion housings and whatnot that pop in. It's really nice replacement rather than going scavenging for an old rusty one and putting that in. So it won't be long. We'll have those chassis going. We also have our mold for our tub buggy bodies. So we've got that going, waiting on a chassis to get developed for that. So I've got the fiberglass cars going, and all of even our tube frame cars have fiberglass bodies that you can put on them. So they're kind of a neat car. We're actually pretty excited to get back going at that. The parts honestly have been so busy that I haven't had a second to think about it. My initial thought was, no, let's buy these chassis, because if they buy a chassis, they got to buy all the parts. Well, I can't build a chassis because we're so busy selling parts as it is. It's catch-22.
So you guys are doing, the regular frame rails and some fabrication work, and you're building the, Manx style tub buggies from scratch too, and you're providing the body for that as well as the chassis and everything, huh?
Yeah, we had a body mold imported from Canada. We pulled a few of them off of there. It's a nice little car. It's only the 2C version. Got to chop the chassis down for it, but it's a nice little car. We used to, before the e-commerce really took off and we started jamming, we were building 15 to 20 cars, complete turnkey cars a year. From mid-travel 4-seaters to the tub buggies to the long travels. We did a lot of cars over the years, and if you go to our Facebook page, you can see the albums of all the different ones we built. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work too.
I wasn't even aware that you did that many cars themselves. I mean, out in California, the regulations can be quite sticky to say the least. But to be able to do that, in Michigan and push stuff through, that's pretty awesome. And that's something that, I didn't know, how many you really did, and then the capabilities to even do more if you could find some guys. So, are we actively looking for some, fabricators, welders, good hands around the shop, or are you guys full staffed right now?
Well, right now we've kind of got our shop pinned down because of the quarantine that we've got. So as soon as that lifts up, we built just a brand new shop, fully equipped. Even got a basketball court on the other end of it. So if you get bored and shoot some hoops, it's a nice facility. So we're waiting to turn it back on. So we got to get our governor to lighten up a little here. But as soon as that comes back on, I'd like to get some people cranking on that and really turn them out. I don't know that we'll get into turnkey cars again. That was that's just such a labor intensive job. But definitely the chassis and rolling packages and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can sell them everything into crates and come get it, right?
Get it. Everything's here.
Now the photo you shared with me is that the new picture of the new shop with all like this one here? Is that a photo of the new setup and everything else? Yep,
that's our new building. We moved over here about 6 years ago for for the life of me that I've ever known, we were always next to the Silver Lake Sand Dunes, right on the corner there. Held that down for a long time. Just saw the retail kind of leaning more towards the e-commerce mail order, so we exited that building, sold it off, and built this new warehouse. It's a little easier in and out for the semi trucks, and bigger, a lot bigger, so I got more room for everything.
So how many square feet is the facility now?
It's a little over 10,000 here, and then we've got another 4,800 at another warehouse, and that's where the fab shop is and stuff.
Oh wow, it's definitely
and it's packed tight.
Some property too.
Yeah, we've got plenty of room to grow, but it's packed tight. We're pretty efficient on our space, but definitely, probably in the next couple of years, we'll be adding on.
Is there any new kind of special project or something that you want to share with the audience that may be coming soon?
Boy, not right offhand. I like to keep a lot of that stuff till the day I pop it out there, but we're just churning out parts of this. In the last month, people have been shopping, so we've been unbelievably busy. We've probably brought in $250,000 worth of EMPI parts in the last 7 days alone. That's how busy the guys are. There's no doubt. I mean, we've had nothing but putting parts away and shipping parts out for 7 days straight without a break. And there's nothing more depressing than coming in on a Monday morning when you're tired to having 15 or 16 pallets waiting to get put away apart. So that
makes the kind of anxiety level kind of kicks up a little bit there, but
absolutely. And get everything shipped out the same day. So that's the fun part.
Yeah. Some paper cuts, a little soreness every once in a while, but man, it's just really cool to see, just a small glimpse, and obviously you don't want to share all your business secrets and the things you do different to separate yourself to try to get your market share, right? But it's just cool for you to kind of open the doors and talk about some of that stuff. I mean, I never would have expected you to share kind of dollar figures and some of the stuff that you're working on, but it just shows that you are a big player in the industry. There's several of you guys out there that are, kind of top tier competitors and supporting the customers around the globe. And it's just really, really neat to see. And as a fan of the industry and the hobby itself, it's just cool to have guys such as yourself and several others out there, which we're going to add to the list of dealer spotlight series along the way. But it's just really cool, man. It's just cool. What with what would be like I guess kind of the next step? I mean, is there a goal you're trying to shoot for right now with the business itself? I mean, everybody has dollar figures and goals they want to do, but just more so besides our current economic state and everything that's going on, just survival of the fittest. But what do you want to try to do? Is there something that you'd like to see even guys like us do? I mean, they're kind of putting ourselves out there a little bit, so don't our lives, so don't kill me too much. But is there something that you'd like to see, us as EMPI to support the dealers more? Or is there something you'd like to have us to work towards?
Well, I really appreciate the last couple years worth of you guys pushing hard to make the niche hobby more of a mainstream player. To see it on an NHRA car is fantastic. To see it at the shows, the drag nights, that's actually makes our job easier to get that brand out there. And honestly, I've said this a number of times. Anybody with a spreadsheet can puke numbers up on eBay or Amazon and sell it, but a lot of us dealers that this is our living, this is our life. We want to put on those shows. We want to market. We want to do those things, and you're helping us do that and bringing this to the forefront. That's what stirs up our business. So I want to thank you guys for that. That's definitely helping.
No, that's awesome. And I'm glad that, you really see that effort, that what we're trying to do. Not only are we, lip servicing week after week after week and social media posts, but you see the steps that we're taking to really turn that new EMPI page and really what we're trying to do with better quality, speed, innovation, and then being out there at the shows, driving across country like we did and putting the name on the side of the dragster, so it puts that name back in the forefront. Because we jokingly saying, it was kind of, you heard it on Cameron's interview at the top end of the track, everybody's got a Volkswagen story, man. And it's true, because your neighbor had one that you used to fiddle with, or your buddy had one and you used to go to school with, or, grandpa or grandma had, there's always some tie to that little car that we all love so much, which feeds your family, grows the business here. It's awesome.
Yeah, and the other aspect that doesn't get looked on a lot is really these cars are easy to work on. They're fun to build. They're a play toy in most cases with a dune buggy. But as a dad, you can get your kid out, start teaching them some mechanics, and get them working with their hands, making them learn how stuff works. And it's a really easy platform to get these kids out there and interested in this. Just automotive in general. So a lot of families get together around this, picnics, barbecues, trail rides. It's a great thing to have.
It really is. It's something that we've talked amongst the group here. How can we promote that? I know the cliches it can sound at times, but the father-son project or the build, and I did it personally. I lived it. I remember holding a light and then got to hand a wrench and learn. I mean, the progress of it, and I'm doing it with my own daughter now with the drag strip, which has sparked her interest to do other things. But you really touched on a key thing for me, Chad, that I hold very dear, is that just that lost art of getting your fingernails dirty, busting a knuckle, cussing sometimes if you have to because you hurt your finger, but you're out there, you're doing something, and you're building a memory with your loved one for the rest of your life that you'll always cherish, and then that's usually what circles back to that little car that we love so much.
Exactly, and we'll get pictures from the customers, showing the progress or showing the end result, and they're all excited about it. And that means a lot to us when people share them back in. So keep sharing them if you're out there and you're getting them done. We'll post them online, show them off. But it's great to get the kids involved. We're kind of trying to get the younger demographic kind of interested in this.
Absolutely.
We really don't want to see this stuff fade off. And this is just such an easy platform to start with. So I would get any parent that wanted to, even if they don't know anything about cars, call us up. We'll walk you right through every nut and bolt you need, and you'll have a good car when you're done.
Yeah, it's awesome, Chad. I mean, kudos to you for willing to do that. When many people out there are worried about the margin and the time and the little things that it takes to shave a nickel, that you're willing to spend the time on the phone to build it and to discuss it and make sure they make the right selection. But yeah, guys, for those of you guys listening in, I highly encourage, if you hear it from yourself, Chad is on Facebook, Appletree, on Instagram as well too. All this stuff. Tag us, tag them, show them the builds. I'm sure they want to see it. I mean, even if you got something that you want to share or you're unsure about, we're always there. You can always send us a message, and I know that we'd love to see the projects and builds.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, man, Chad, it's crazy how literally 50 minutes goes by so fast.
No doubt.
We didn't even get to talk about some of the cool die cast and the cool connecting rods. If you guys look closely, there's some cool signs in there connecting the
there's a
the
lot
shelves
of
together.
parts.
I got a couple of those snapshots. It was awesome.
There's a couple bent Carrillo rods, some pretty mangled up pistons, bent valves. That's one of those shelves is my wreck parts collection. So
yeah, see, a very cool comment just came in from Lucas Hand. Never forget any of the times with my grandfather, my dad, and my uncle in the shop in the garage. I mean, that's super cool, and it resonates exactly the point that Chad and I are trying to make, because you'll never get those back, right? And that's something that you can cherish when those loved ones are gone. And I mean, I know I do in many cases, but thanks, Lucas, for driving that point home, because it really is what this hobby's about. And we want to, for me as an enthusiast, and we've talked a little bit, and I'm sure you've seen some of the other shows, but I get infectious, I get worked up, I get animated, because I see it, I live it, I love it, and I want others to share in the joy and the excitement. And I jokingly use Henry, who you haven't had the chance to meet yet, Chad, but Henry's one of our guys here that works on the JC side. But I'll tell you right now, man, Henry's car is one of the first cars in the line of DKK cars, and he's the first guy that you want to walk around and talk to, and he's infectious about his car and willing to help you and jetting and ask you a million questions. But those are the guys that we want to have, is guys like you and guys like Henry and Jack that are willing just to continue this hobby while we can and just keep refilling and that's kind of where my philosophy is we got to refill that pool of customers, or that pool of people that are interested in this. We have to refill that. We can't just keep drawing out of it without refilling it. So.
No, exactly. And I do want to thank, everybody from the CEO and management teams and the sales reps. Joni, I know Joni's probably watching. She's been with us for 20 plus years, and we couldn't do this stuff without them. All the way down to the people packing. There's other companies we deal with that they're hit and miss on inventory. They're hit and miss on if we get the right stuff. And you guys honestly have been on it since day one. We have a 99.9% fill rate in most things, so it really helps us turn this stuff out. So the people pulling it, I know you get 800 parts that you got to pull to put in a pallet, and it's easy to miss one, but they never do. They always do a great job. So my hat's off to those guys. If they lived closer, I would be probably poaching some of your shipping people. So just know that.
Well, you stay over where you're at, because we need every bit of them we can right now, and especially with the growth that we're experiencing and that we're living towards and striving towards by building a better brand to support guys like you. We want to continue that. So, man, Chad, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add before we get you out of here for the day and do our closing?
You find me a building next door to you, and I'll be there next month.
Dude, don't tip me, because we'd love to have you on the West Coast, man, and then we could actually talk some real drag racing. I have a feeling, though, you and I would get in a little trouble for some late nights at the shop and some shenanigans for sure.
Well, you did read the shirt, right? Okay,
there we go. No one ever got sick from smoking the tires. Excellent. I mean, it's really indicative. We were really hopeful here and optimistic that we were going to have the Bugorama here on the 23rd of this month, and it was canceled. And so it's just, it's one of those things. It's just, we're really hoping to get some normalcy here. There is a desert race that's still scheduled, knock on wood, that it'll still go off for the 16th of this month. It's the McKinsey's 300. I'm really hoping that kind of starts to get the ball rolling again out here. But I hope and pray that everything's going well for you guys out there, and then it starts to get back to some kind of normalcy. Look, people are already asking, John Brown, where can I get the shirt? So, AppletreeAuto.com. I'm sure he'll be able to set you up in the future.
You bet.
But anyways, Chad, it's been awesome to spend a little bit of time with you. Thank you so much for your willingness to come on and give it a try on this new platform. It's been awesome to have you, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. We appreciate the opportunity to get with you.
Awesome. Well, guys, there you have it. I mean, awesome time with Chad Coker from Appletree Auto. For those of you guys that got to see some of the stuff, the clips and whatnot, I'll post a few more on our social media and tag him. It's just been an awesome experience just to know that family-run business, wife's there, daughter's there, they're working through stuff, building packages, fabricating shop, and is really a strong, deep-rooted EMPI dealer. And it's just awesome, and so props to Chad and those guys over there at Appletree for just hitting a home run all the time. Couple of things we're working towards, right? So with that being said, we will be, once we know that things are going to be kind of loosened up and be able to open up and we have a little bit of freedom and whatnot, I will give out information for a photo shoot that we would like to do to shoot some of our local listeners' vehicles. We will give you time and location in the coming weeks, hopefully, if everything goes well. So I'm a little preemptive, but I am excited about it because I do want to make sure that we do talk about this to kind of plant the seed, and that we'll give you time and location, and we'll give you guys. We're going to bring some of our photo team from here, and we're going to shoot some cars that potentially could be featured in some of our advertising and so forth on that. So stay tuned for that. If everything goes as planned, we still are planning to do the June 12th cruise night. It will not be an open house. It'll be more of a cruise night. Hey, come and hang out, listen to some music, have a taco, depending on how things go on that. And yes, Brian, I'm digging some of the comments that come through. I heard that Dung Beetle didn't want any part of you guys. No, when we drove back east, Asian, I know you've popped in here before. You sent me some DMs. It's a call out, buddy. We want some of that. We want some of that dung beetle versus the blue beast. So you guys tag them. Let's get us going. Let's get some rivalry going back in it. Awesome, Brian. It was really cool to see you. I personally did stop by the firehouse, the FNA firehouse there in the 405, and tried to call out Asian. So it was good times. Very cool. Thanks for noticing that. Kind of leads me to my last point before we sign off today. And it's something that, on a serious note that I want to make sure that we put out there. As many of you noticed throughout social media and whatnot, we did suffer a loss of one of the OGs, man. One of the guys that family started it. He's one of the originals, has been around this game for a very, very long time. And, I am sad to say that, with the passing of Darryl Batone this week, it did touch us in more ways than you guys will know. So prayers to the wife and Colin and the rest of the guys that are kind of there, and Godspeed, my friend. We'll catch you on the other side on that one. With that being said, I hope you guys dig the new setup. We're working towards it every single week, always making changes and adjustments, but I truly encourage you guys to continue to follow us on YouTube and on Facebook to stay live and up to date, because we will be migrating away from the Instagram platform so that we can bring in guests like Chad and so forth along for the ride. With that being said, thank you very much. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Be good humans. We're out.